I've had some guys that asked about how to change the pip on these Prentiss-Wabers lanterns. It doesn't matter if it's one of the green ones or whether it's the brown bomber. If it has this style pump that's separate from the fuel cap, you're going to need a 1-inch socket, and I just use a 1/2-inch drive ratchet, and you can just put that on the pump tube where the pip is. It's like a check valve on the bottom of there. It's inside another tube for safety, to where you're pushing air in. If you have a leak in the pip, you'll leak air out of this tube and not raw fuel. But you can just take this socket and use your ratchet and remove that. I'm not going to remove that one. You may have to have someone help you hold the fount to remove that. And then once you remove it, this is what you got. Of course, your pump's right here. The pip is on the bottom, and it's basically a gasket with a spring that holds it shut. It's not a positive check valve. But you'll need to remove your pump, and you'll most likely have removed it already before you take the pump tube out. But once you remove the pump tube from the lantern, this is what you've got. And of course, this one's been cleaned up. Let me grab a 1/2-inch wrench over here. Right here is the stem of the, we'll call it a check valve. But take a 1/2-inch wrench and just hold the tube in your hand and loosen that up on the bottom. And there's a real fine little spring in here that's really specialty. It's hard to find something that works exact. But this is the pip. You can see this one's wore out, and the pump tube was creeping out of the pump on a lantern I was running the other day, and that's why I'm going to change this one. That's originally cork, but you'll pull this little stem out, and there's that spring. Lay that spring on something where it'll be easy for you to find, and then you'll want to clean this up. I may not do all of that, but you can take a Q-tip and clean up down in here. You may even want to hit it with a little bit of steel wool in there to clean this part up. And then you can take a little pick and dig the old cork pip out of the end of there. See, there's the old 80-something-year-old pip out of there. Clean this up. Again, you can take a Q-tip, and then here's the actual pip. It's just a piece of nitrile rubber, something that is fuel resistant, even though this is basically going to be running in air in there. And then you put the new gasket on here. Make sure it's seated good, and then you'll put the spring back on here, and then put this back in this housing. I'm gonna clean it out in there a little bit with a Q-tip. I would normally clean this up a little better, but I'm trying to keep the video from being too long. But you got the pip in the spring, and then you have to line it up like this, and then I like to push it in with something, and then I can grab it from the bottom with my fingers, and now I'm holding that pip. But that rubber gasket on that pip seals against that little tapered fitting in the end of there. Hopefully you can see that. But you can hold on to that stem, hold the spring back, screw it in there. Now it's screwed in place. And you just snug it up with that wrench a little bit, and you're ready to screw this back into the lantern. Hope that helps somebody. Thanks.